But the sound is good. Yeah, so that it looks loud enough now. So as long as I'm not echoing, that's the big part. But anyway, okay. So let's get into things then, because I think that this is all set up, and I don't like wasting too much time with these kinds of details of tech issues. So as long as it's good, so perfect. Thank you very much, Zakoyaki. So what I'm going to be doing here is just watching through the top 8, doing it at 2x speed, as well, skipping through some of the breaks and stuff like that, to just kind of go over what we're seeing in the top 8 in this ETS and things that I thought were interesting, because I think there's always something worthwhile pulling from these, even if it's just as simple as like who's playing well, who's showed off some new skills and some new tech or whatever. So we're just going to get into the top 8 here. For it, this is of course this week's ETS. Also, there's going to be spoiler content in here in it. So if you are somebody who, for whatever reason, is a big stickler for spoiler-free content and wanted to watch this back yourself without the spoilers for it, then you're out of luck. It actually looks like it's off kilter to a degree. Oh no, that's not it. Window capture. Oh, that's much better. That's much better. Okay, so it is currently, we're just gonna skip through some stuff, because I think that they're in a top 8 break, or they're talking or something like that right now. There's there we are. Top 8 starts soon. Thought it was queued up, but it was to like the end of this round 7 as opposed to the top of the round, the top 8. So just need a couple minutes, get through that break period. Come on, thing. I don't know. You guys probably can't see the timing for it, but sometimes it's moving well, sometimes it is not. Jesus, they took a long break. I always make the joke whenever I'm in coverage, it's like 5-minute break, 5-minute break. They are not 5 minutes. Don't know if you guys caught on to that. It is, they tend to be a little bit longer. Oh, okay. Yeah, so let's just go back to look at the decks briefly. This is not the decks. These are both the same decks. This isn't it either. Is this the top? Is this the round 1 elimination? Okay. Oh yeah. So this is correct. So this is the Rock versus Mr. Meeseeks. So some specific things to note about the decks. Then we're actually I will pull them back up, because I think that there's just some. Let's go. I know it's only like on for like half a second, so I can't really talk about it because I think they just got into the game really quickly. But anyway, some of the things that are the contents of the deck here that I thought were really interesting. So the Rock is on TJP Blitz or Tempo or whatever you want to call it. Just the TJP aggressive deck. It's a deck that he really likes. He played a lot of it back when it was at its best, so he took it again to this top 8 here. So it's a really good performance for him. He actually stopped by the stream last night after he made the top 8 and was saying how bad it felt to lose to Moosh. Because, I mean, it always feels bad to lose. Now, like, it's still the case that the Great Valley Smuggler feels terrible in this deck, in that you just kind of really want to have access to a 3-attack unit for your market. But it's just not a particularly good card here. So that's frustrating. Still, just because, I mean, like, having access to a wide variety of stuff, also really cool, but just doesn't really gel with the deck exactly, because it's basically just a vanilla 3/3, like most of the time. The Xenon Obelisk is the only enabler that you have access to it. Now that's an interesting one to imagine. I started with this in my versions of the deck. I'm not sure whether it's correct. Still, the alternative that you want is the Hourglass, actually. Hourglass is, I'm not convinced that it's better than Genève, honestly. Like, this version is better than Genève Blitz, because I don't know if that's, I don't know Genève Blitz worth anything. But so the obelisk is a good tool to enable things. It buffs things up, but I just think that it's a little bit too low in deck in the games that I played with it. But I guess the rock has had reasonable success. The other change that they made is that they dropped the posts, as in Genève Merchant over Smuggler. Oh, Genève Merchant. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I can see that. You definitely really like having the ages. Just like not having that third attack it just sucks. This version, though, I should also mention, so there's 4 Valkyrie Enforcers and no copies of Trading Post. Trading Post is definitely a card that I think the metagame has turned more aggressive in many ways. You see that in a lot of the deck lists that I've been seeing on Ladder more. There's a lot more aggressive slanted decks, and with that, having access to the post, the post is just so bad for it. For the market, for the I think that the market is they're very, very similar qualities of market personally. The main difference is they're both just super close in both body and market quality in my mind. You don't really want very much from just that's primal. That's just time stuff. Most of it is primal that you want. So the market is just super, super close. It is a question of whether you want a 2/2 Aegis or a 3/3 no text for it, and both of those just feel pretty bad. But you just need to have access to the market, so you can't cut them, in my opinion. But yeah, so the Valkyrie Enforcer seems good, though. It has a lot of usage in a lot of matchups. There's definitely been more Sandstorm Titan too, from what I've seen, or there's at least a reasonable amount of it, and that's good there. Yeah, so that's kind of that version of the deck. It's pretty close to stock. There are 2 Genève decks that made the top 8. This one is the greedier version. It's playing the Jotun Feast Callers, which, I mean, if you guys were here last week, you know that I'm not a fan of that card. This whole, the construction of the deck on the other side of Mr. Meeseeks, it is a little bit perplexing to me in a variety of ways. The fact that you have a market that is playing both Howling Peak and Zalchi, it just seems way too top heavy to me. That is a lot. That is a lot. At least I do like the fact that they're playing also the cargo in the market is not something that I'm super excited about. I would rather a banner there. The reason why is yeah, it turns into a contraband into the late game, but that's just never something that you're gonna pull out of your market, assuming that you have anything else in it that's not just power. So it's just not a particularly useful card to have access to in the late game. So you're just playing it as power. And if you're just playing it as power, then you would want just a power. You would want a banner, right? So I think that it's definitely, in my opinion, that makes more sense. Yeah, Seek Power or anything that doesn't transmute. So Seek Power doesn't work because it has to have a color, and Seek Power is colorless. So I think that I would agree with you, Sacco, that that's what I would prefer to do. But yeah, a cargo in an XXX YYY ZZZ deck is a little bit weird. Yeah, that's you're correct. I just made it. You kind of sounded like that's what you wanted to do, but it doesn't work. So I don't mind cargo in this deck because he's playing the 4 Seek Power as well. He also has 3 Strategize and 4 Wisdom of the Elders, which means that he's going to be hitting his power drops more effectively than a lot of other versions of the deck. I still don't like Jotun Feast Caller. I still would rather have the Moonstone Guardian in this deck, but this is where we are. Zed's God bless Canadians. Hey man, don't step on that. Don't be hating. You're racist against my Canadians. I am Seek Power over cargo in general. Yeah, no Seek Power. I think that you play Seek Powers before cargos in this particular deck most of the time. But yeah, so we are getting into the game though. The Rock, by the way, always plays that Rilligon's Disciple before the student, largely because, especially in this version of the deck, the students are a lot better. You just have a lot less burst potential, and you're not playing things like a bunch of gift battles or whatever. So, with an extra card, yeah, I think that that's a pretty decent rule of thumb there, Geoquake. but there's some like weird rules about it. But I think that in general, especially with a deck like this, by the way, this gets a little bit choppy. It's not just like on my end; it was just like the stream. So we got the torch that we saw in Mr. Meeseek's hand, torch the student, and now we're going for an agent of contraband. Now we are into the next turn. Scardy is a kid who's filmed in Canada. Well, that's and Sid said it, and I didn't get it at first. Yeah, so we're just kind of so the thing that says, I mean, like, this is what happens when Mr. Meeseeks gets 2 torches in the early game. Like, this is not a deck that plays a ton of threats, and when you don't have the time to get your power back up, it's just really hard to get out from underneath it. So we are like in this position where we have to do something from the rock side, like play Svetia, double block. You just kind of hope that these things do stuff. Now, at least you do have locked at 5 power, drawing into cargo with no power in hand. And then, yeah, no. It's definitely something that is a cost. I think that it's still right in a lot of decks to play the cargo. The Genev is the major exception, I would say. That they just have such a high top end. They're so fucking fat. There's just so much fat in this deck that I don't think that you can miss your power drops for it. So, I mean, I don't know why they just don't play more power, but, you know, that's me. I just have issues with this deck in general. Trim the fat. I mean, that's, you know, let's not get carried away here, GeoQuake. Let's not go do something rash, like not play, you know, half of our deck with 6s and 7s and 8s. Come on now. As you can probably tell, this game is not going particularly well for the Rock. We have the opportunity to play out Hojon, play out a power, hold up stand together, play the stand together, have it blown out by the unseal, and then the game ends shortly thereafter. I mean, it's something that I think that in some ways the players do. I think that some of the ways in which the Direct World Digital employees have kind of bitched about that is like I think that they're just wrong, because some of the decks that they've played just have too much power and that they get outvalued by these like super greedy decks, which we play a lot of. And like there's just a lot of them that are built as like, okay, as long as I can get to 4 or 5 power, then I can function as a deck until I eventually draw into my power. And I think that Direct World Digital has in some respects kind of understood that fact and like kind of just accepted the fact that the players are just never going to play more power, and as a result are doing things like making cargos. Like, cargo is a concession to the fact that we refuse to put more power in our decks. But it's just like I've tried playing decks with more power and they're just not as good because you run out of gas against these super grindy matchups. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Rec. Like, it's something that I think that in some respects, like the logic is crazy, because it's like, well, these decks function perfectly well on 4 power, or like reasonably well on 4 power. They just kind of like have a couple hand, like 1 or 2 cards stuck in their hand, ish. But they're still able to kind of get out of it eventually as long as they hit that 4 power. And the power system that they currently have, the mulligan system they currently have, is like perfectly designed to hit 4 power basically every game. So this, by the way, we obviously see the Rock here hold that Seek power in hand, not playing on turn 1 on the case that he draws the Alessi, which I really like. Also does not play the Student on turn 2, plays the Hojon instead. You can really see that he prioritizes getting the Student out, getting some power, like some beef onto it as soon as possible, and kind of protecting it. But, so yeah, the opponent goes for the display, plays a power, plays a torch, kills a bunch of stuff. Now, Alessi, or we have the opportunity, to play out this. Yes, we don't have to stand together. Was it saying that we have to stand together? We don't have to stand together. Oh, yep. Attack for 3. Now, now we see basically a good the other half of this matchup. Like the first game was like, okay, Mr. Meeseeks had all of these wonderful answers to the Rock's threats, and they just kind of played a bunch of stuff and had it all killed. And now we see the other half of it where Mr. Meeseeks is just sitting on a handful of absurdly powerful cards that do absolutely nothing in the face of not having enough power. So just playing out stuff doing like 5 damage at a time, not even like particularly devastating beatdown, but they're beatdown nonetheless. So now we obviously have the opportunity to just use Valkyrie Enforcer plus Equivocate to get that out of the way, deal another like 9 damage, put them at 4. They're super fucking dead then. Oh, now we had the lethal because of the levitate. Yeah, you actually see him do the math here. It's like a perfect example of like, check it out, do all the math, then make all the plays. Yeah, it's just a perfect beat for there. So yeah, biased, but I'm sure I've lost way more games to Flood when I tried including more power in my decks, and even if I'm running a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, it's something that it's impossible to, like, maybe Direwolf Digital does have the numbers to, like, really say, it's like, no, you're definitely not playing enough power, but it's just that there are a lot of really greedy decks that are on ladder, and, like, when you're playing something like this Genev deck, you want to be, like, in the mirror, you want to be the one who's playing as little power as possible, right? You want to be the one playing the fatter, greedier version of the deck. So it's like it's close in my mind, but definitely it's. I wouldn't read too much into your personal experience because it's definitely something that confirmation bias has really easy to hit you really hard in that. But like I would love to get my hands on Direwolf Digital stats. Holy fuck, would that be great? Just that would be like Direwolf Digital. If you're listening, birthday present, please. Just give me your data. That's it. That's all I want. Just give me your data. Once again, The Rock religiously playing out that student second here, even though it means that he it might even be wrong here to do it because he's going to be missing one of the empower triggers on one of his students, but he just no matter what is playing it. Second. Yeah, everybody else. No, if you touch it, they'll crush at you. Yeah, I mean, like, they just would never. I understand. That's just not how they function. Yeah. It feels like we need some third-party app. I mean, if somebody wants to develop a third-party app, like, I think that the community would really enjoy that. It's just that's like something that somebody else needs to do. There are a lot of other games that have APIs that do this kind of stuff. By the way, I'm almost positive that he's supposed to cycle the levitate here. This is a really, really conservative play. Just because, like, for instance, you're getting access to another threat would be really, really cool. Getting access to a merchant would be really, really cool. We also see another small mistake here, actually. So we get equivocate. So actually what Mr. Meeseeks is supposed to do here is supposed to block and then equivocate. And then in response, we should actually, given that we're here now, the Rock should levitate his other student because he just wants to get the damage in right now. And so in this case, I think that it's actually wrong to, like, you'll see that. So, like, first Mr. Meeseeks, he's going to end up jump blocking, so if his plan was to jump block, he should jump block then equivocate, and in response to this particular decision, the Rock should definitely levitate his other guy. Yeah, because we get the jump block there, which is not what we wanted. We would prefer to get the damage in. Permafrost. This is also the situation where getting access to that. Yeah, so now we get the levitate here, and we get the stand together. Like you see that too. Like if we had if you levitate after a block fly over right, you can't levitate after a block is assigned to fly over. Yeah. So it's like you chump block first, so that you can't get levitated over, and since your opponent made the mistake, then you levitate over them. Yeah, exactly. So the thing is that the blocker hadn't been assigned. Like I'm saying, like given the world that we were in, where Mr. Meeseeks sequenced incorrectly and was equivocating the 6/6 before blocks were assigned, then we should levitate at that point, so that we know that we get our damage in, and we want to cycle the card. And like, I mean, we would have cycled into fucking Stand Together too, right? Like also that's the other part. Like we cycled into Stand Together, which seems like it would have been pretty good in that situation. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. So there's a lot of reasons to do it. Actually, did we have enough power to do? Yeah, we just fully had enough power to do this. Is that we could have levitated and then played Stand Together, and just fucking crushed you. Like, just like the game is over at that point. He's taking 6. I have, like, he has to jump block. It's just me. Okay, good to know it, Ariak. Good to know that that's what's happening. Well, at least we have a Cloud Snake. Thank God. we did it, boys. We have the Cloud Snake. Okay, and then also this is the situation we got maximum punished for not having the Infinite Hourglass in the market. I mean, I'm still not convinced one way or another for it. And like obviously this is a little bit of a particular situation. I mean, I guess that the Accelerated Evolution is a reasonable replacement for that effect. This sequencing, though, is interesting. I actually kind of like this particular sequencing of going for playing the Stand Together here, in which case they're just like, have to like attack into all this or something like this. By the way, that particular attack with the play of the Heart of the Vault first before attacking her and doing it for the face is just definitely wrong. Like, should have done that on, for instance, the Cloud Snake or something like this. But yeah, anyways, just a little bit of like small little bits and pieces. The game goes in the Rock's favor, and we're moving on to game number 4. Yeah, there was like that particular turn was played badly by both players. I mean, I kind of understand where those mistakes were made. Like it's always something too. I don't want to like harp on these players that much because like this is at the end of a long day, and I mean I was playing like shit on the cast last night or on the stream last night, and the reason that it's kind of fine to do that is because like, oh well, whatever, it's just kind of for fun. But like these guys were just like after a long day of playing some very hard Eternal, so you're allowed to make mistakes for it. But still, there were definitely some mistakes. So this is the one situation in which our hero did not play out the Hojon first. And the reasoning why is because he saw the Echo on the opponent's side. So that's a really, really good play sequencing decision here. There really wasn't much of a way to win that point. Oh yeah, no, Mr. Meeseeks was turbo dead. But I'm just saying. Play that out. Hit your opponent in the face a bunch. Equivocate. By the way, also, this is a situation in which Mr. Meeseeks let the Rock power up in a Stand Together deck with 2 3/3 students in play. Just want to put that out there, that he just let him power up in a turn 4 to get that sweet 3 power on tap. And he could have just... so fade. Like the extra card effect is what I'm talking about for it. But he because he knew that his opponent had probably had a snowball, and like I think that his opponent doesn't play the show, or at least he knew that there's a chance that it's a hurler, doesn't play at the Hojon. So that's the play that I'm pointing out here. But this particular play here of sequencing where the Equivocate is coming at this time, really bad, really bad. Because like what happens here if the Rock has the Stand Together? Game is done. We're over. Like just wrap it up. Right, like takes 10 damage. They go to 12 now. They can equivocate on their next turn, but then you're still dealing with a 5/5 Aegis, and their opponent still has like multiple cards in hand. But anyway, that's unfortunately that's not how things go. I think the end of this game though is still really fun though. It works out well. But type play, now that he has the levitate up, snowball comes out, levitate happens, blows him out, gets the extra power, which is really helpful in this deck, and especially turns like this. So this is all really, really good. And then he learns his lesson of equivocating when he's supposed to, so that's good. Yeah, contraband. Oh yeah. This is like when he got the hot-blooded barbarian. Is like, no, this is fine. Looks pretty good with that finest hour. And the opponent, of course, got the molten egg from the contraband. Seems like a long shot one. I mean, obviously, like you sometimes get some rancid cargoes, so who cares? Now there was part of me that was hoping that the temper plus this guy would give a relic that would do something interesting. But obviously, that's a really big long shot. But that was my hope. Just getting that combo, that synergy to work together. Merchant. But now you can probably already do the math where it's like temper, the 2/2, equivocate it, attack with everything, finest tower, the barbarian. Yeah, it's a really cool card. I like that card. I mean, I think that it does make sense as a control finisher, like control mirror breaker type card, in some respects, but it makes sense to me that they don't want to push it like a ton because it would get really, really annoying if it was amazing. Since crafted 3 mistakes, we've all made some mistakes in our craft. So I mean, I think I still have the world record holder for worst craft ever, which was day 1 crafting 4 Last Light Druids, and I just did not realize how the card worked. And I immediately was devastated. Just as soon as I played it, and I was like, wow, that was, oh god. Okay, now we're into the Moosh slash Thufir Huata. Okay, people, like, let's talk about our name choices. Let's talk about name choices in this game. Yeah, this matchup, though, is, like, we only see, like, a little bit of this game. This game is actually quite good, though. So, like, this suggests something like a harsh rule, for Moosh. So, Moosh identifies the fact that probably, Thufir Huat. Yeah, that's really obvious there, Iliac. Just rolls off the tongue. Rolls off the tongue. But yeah, just by the way, like the block there on the smuggler, one of the things that I think that Moosh identified. Oh, that's a Dune reference. Yeah, I don't know anything about pop culture, man, or even unpop culture. So yeah, I'm fully an uncultured savage. You can we can go off about this kind of stuff, like especially read a goddamn book. I read basically almost entirely nonfiction. It's my reading habits are very weird. Definitely not like sci-fi fantasy stuff. Pop culture, yeah, I know. I said even on pop culture, like I am just very, very sheltered. Oh god, yeah, please. You don't even know, man. You do not even know. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. You should have seen me before I met my wife. She was like, there's like tons of things like, oh, have you seen this movie? I'm like, no, I've never even heard of it. And she was just like, what? She's a big movie person. Her entire family is. Anyway, let's get on with the game. But yeah, that block, we had the 2/2 double damage that was coming in, and we block with the R2/2 that's turned to something completely different and glorious. Hey man, we can go off about some of that kind of shit later, definitely while I'm playing. Guy lives in Kingston, give him a break. Yeah, man, we're known for snotty, white liberals and criminals. Those are the only two people who are from Kingston. I'm not actually living there anymore. I'm up north now. I'm living with my wife again. So right now I'm in Espanola, that's right outside of Sudbury. There, Creeping Death. I'm sure that you know all about the wonders of Sudbury. But yeah, we blocked the double damage 2/2 because probably only need to have one version of that effect. Like having the one is way better than the first one is much more better than the second. So doing that saves 4 damage, which is a lot. So I think that makes a lot of sense to do that. Even the Sioux. Oh yeah, the Sioux. I have not made it up to this. I've made it up to the Sioux once as a young lad. By the way, from this position, there's a really hard like decision tree for Moosh because there. Like, I mean, there's a merchant on the battlefield. There's in the hand. Usually, when that's the case, especially in this deck, there's just a lot of possibilities of what you can do. So, for example, like you can get the combust that can kill the Vara. It can kill the Mokto. Obviously, killing a Mokto is not that appealing. You also have the opportunity, like you have the question of like what you want to send back. The Grenadin seems like a great thing to send back here, but like so, like for instance, one play is play the merchant, play first play the Waystone, get the Grenadin back. You're doing that one way or another because that's just kind of free. But then you play the merchant, you sub the Grenadin for combust. You can then combust either one of your opponent's stuff, or like for instance, get some damage in by just combusting the Mokto. You can also use the Defiance to clear out. Use the Shakedown to clear out the Defiance. You know that your opponent, like he probably doesn't know that his opponent has the 1-cost spell in hand, because like I think that Thofar, whoever it is, Thofar Hawat would have played it at their first possible opportunity. So it's definitely not. I think it's unlikely that he's shown it up until now. But given the fact that we have that Berserk unit in play, it's just so tempting to get that operational and get that 6 damage in. But we get to get 8 in, and our opponent can crack back for a lot still with lifesteal. So I think that ends up being what he does. But there's still a lot of other possibilities here, given the fact that there is the like a madness there. You just don't have quite enough power to do something fun with the madness, I don't think. Is madness, like madness would not be lethal here, like especially with the Defiance in hand, but I think that it would have been, so 6 plus 2, it would have been 1-off lethal if you just go for madness and there wasn't the Defiance in hand. So that was like really close, I imagine, for Moosh just being like, actually no, it would have been lethal. No, you kidding me, because you can't play the Shakedown still, right? Of course. Just trying to think of the Nightfall math. Okay, so Shakedown takes the Defiance. Let's go there. This is a turn that you could not do on ladder. It's a little bit long. So exchanges the Grenadin, gets the combust, combusts the Mokto. He ends up combusting the Mokto. Part of the reason that this is so attractive too is that you get that merchant into the void, and the merchant is a like has the Berserk bonus as well. Thofar Hawat. Thofar Hawat. Is that correct? That's a blowout and a half right there. And then he just draws 2 torches. This is also why you never try to block against Scream. Like, just don't, like, just like when you especially have a Vara in play. When you have a Vara in play, do not try to block. Just go ham, take your 5 life. Like, you can't block against this deck. Like, what happened? Like, there were a bunch of draws there that kill you. Like, just for instance, 1 Haunting Scream. You know, that's all you needed there. I think that he was, like, let me just double check here. Probably. Just gonna check the battlefield and that particular situation. Right. Okay, so he has the merchant in the battlefield. He has the Vara in the battlefield. So Madness also, I believe, kills him. Yeah, Madness also kills him. Haunting Scream kills him. Double Torch kills him. And, like, Merchant kills him. If there is a Vicious Highwayman in the Void that also kills him. And you get, and like your opponent gets 2 draws as well. There are a lot of draws that kill you in this situation. Like by leaving back the Varro. I think that far more than the other way around. Because like for instance, even if they get like a Highwayman, you're far better ahead with this situation. If you've attacked with the Varro, I think, or it's basically the same position. So it just doesn't accomplish anything. So yeah, moral of the story is never block, A space all the way. That's how you do things. I do like the play of Red Canyon Smuggler into the Regent's Tomb and reading the Haunting Scream there. Now, like, it's going to feel a little bit bad for this particular kill. I guess that also in some respects, like, if you just fade that one turn, you get to block the 3/3 because it has Reckless now. Still, I think that you're supposed to attack. That's just me. I like attacking. I really love attacking with Varro. It's mostly right. Oh, yeah, we're getting into another game here. This is like obviously late into a game. So let's just take a look. By the way, Second Blue is playing 2 copies of Avergraft. It's true though. If you keep a Varro back to block, you usually end up not getting a decent block anyway. Yeah, I mean, like with blocking with lifesteal units is in some respects feels like a win more, and like obviously there are some situations where you have to survive. So A-Space mascot is cowardice. Yeah, man. That's it. It's a little white flag behind a crate. That is our mascot / the letter A, the most important part. But yeah, like just. Like not even just this particular matchup, like just in general, blocking with lifesteal units is really good when you can do it. But when you're just attacking with a lifesteal unit, that's pretty great too. So, and plus killing your opponent is really good. You're not in this great position if they do find a removal spell. If they do find just like even a combust, you're not in a great spot. So just kill it. Just kill them and then you get that. But yeah, this is Second Blue against another name I can't pronounce. Prakalakin. That's Prakalakin. I figured it out. Some things to note about Second Blue's deck, because we're not going to be seeing again. He's going to be losing shortly. He is playing 2 copies of Avergraft in the main deck and a copy of Vanquish in the market. I'm not excited about that. Personally, the rest of the deck seems like pretty normal. Good. Not playing any copies of Rizon, which is interesting. I haven't tried on personally with those builds of the deck, but it's definitely fascinating. What is it that we're doing here again? I can't remember. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Avergraft. Now, this play, though, by the way, is very tight. So we get the Caleb's Choice here to get the right there. Because I think that the Prakalakin has red, Second Blue for the Display of Ambition. So Display of Ambition is really good against like this board per se. Because, like, for instance, if he would be able to play it for the Overwhelm on +1 damage, it actually would have killed Prakalakin there. So that was a really tight play from him. I can't decide if Avergraft is underrated or overrated. I mean, at 4 cost, it's. I mean, also, by the way, I think that we end up seeing that Second Blue has. Oh, this is all just like nonsense then. That just because, like, for instance, we'll see this. Watch. We'll see. So we have Boar. Oh, maybe he attacked already, and that explains this, because, yeah. Okay, we don't see that. Okay, that is, I was wondering for a moment, I was like, oh, he has the board in the market, so why doesn't he just attack and then ping his opponent twice? But, he clearly already had the, that happened earlier in the game. I don't really think, I think that it is dubious right now. So Second Blue wins here. I guess he does move on. but I don't think that we see him later on. Just like the way that the matchups work out, I guess. I can't remember. Or maybe that was the wrong... the score was wrong. That's also possible, too. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I like it as a one of in the market. Fine. Like, that's like totally okay in that position. Playing in the main deck, there's a decent amount more aggro going on here. You do need more removal spells against shit like the Jinamu decks. Like, the 4 copies of Slay is definitely not enough. So, I don't know. It's close. I mean, is it really just better than something like Annihilate or Deathstrike? It's a long shot. I haven't fully decided. It's definitely not as strong anymore, but you can still shut certain things completely. The lock is real. I mean, the lock is like it's not real. I'll agree with that. I mean, FJ has access to Vanquish and Annihilate. I think that this particular deck, Artifact Hill, Successor Evil nowadays, like I personally would have preferred just Vanquish. Vanquish is a really good card. Okay, so now that was the 2-2, the 1-2 game. So we do get one more game. I dropped my marker. It went somewhere. I wanted to play with it. I like to fiddle with things. Hey man, let's not talk about Artifact Kill. The game is already dead. I'm just taking a shot at it. I think that the game is still fun, but yeah, main deck board. Yeah, there was like a week people were main decking board all over the place. I still have not figured that out. It's like, what was going on there? Yeah. Everybody's making some plays. I make plays, you make plays, we all make plays. Yeah, it kills itself. Very good at killing itself. But also, by the way, like one particular thing, like element of this deck, second blue did cut. As I said, the Rizons is playing some copies of extra copies of the that card right there, the hammer, the Orc Rune Hammer. Now, one of the things you also see in this deck is there's just, as a result, there's less unit density, and as a result, it kind of shuts out the displays of ambition of having their anticipated effect. But anyway, I mean, it's fine so far, but getting up to that Zalchi level is still spooky. I just love this, like, just running it out for the Caleb's favor. I actually, like, that made me really, really happy. Just being like, okay, this is what's happening. Get that extra power. 6 cost Caleb's favor. What a champ. Yep, obviously this happens. Get the 2 4/4s. Fighting this card as FJS, as a win chest, just fucking, like, hurts. You have, okay, so you're already spent 1 premium spell on this. Yeah, Mirror wants to spend 2. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. So we spent 3 top-tier quality cards on this card. Now, part of the reason is because of this, the mirror image that was obviously going to be coming next turn. Because it would just mean that you'd have to cast an extra card, but still, holy mackerel. You really need the maiden. You're the one who was going off about hating maiden. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, Zalchi is just a great card. We'll talk more about this opponent's deck later. Because we do see it in some of the later rounds. But because I think that there's interesting choices they made. Oh yeah, Madness plus Combust. Yeah. Oh, I mean, like, well, Zalchi definitely has his weaknesses. Like, Permafrost has what's up, but still. Yeah. I think that Haunted Highway is probably really good against the Genev matchup. I haven't played it very much from either side, but I imagine that's a terrible matchup for Zalchi. Yeah, I just like read that text of like 4 cost, like 2 cards total, deal 7 damage, kill 2 of your opponent's units, gets 2/4/4 flyers. Is that total combination of steal 1? Oh, I got some follows there. I think just showed up on I just hearing them right now. I have to see it on the screen. So Patumaru, thank you very much for the follow. Greatly appreciated. Anybody else who wants to follow too? Now is a good time. We are still gonna. I'm just gonna start skipping through. Oh, we have this now. Okay, but yeah, greatly appreciated with anybody who wanted to follow. But we're gonna see Scrappy Hour versus Genev next. I do think it's not a terrible matchup for FTP, but Zalchi is just I mean, I think that it really depends on the construction of the Genev deck. It really has to matter, like specific things like do you have the Howling Peak Merchant plus the Downpour is probably a pretty important piece of the puzzle. How many just displays are you playing is another one. Are you playing the stupid fucking I'm hearing it twice. I guess that's just the echo once again, so that's fine. Zakuyaki, thank you very much for the follow. Now let's talk about Scrappy Hour briefly. This is very similar to a deck that I was playing earlier in the week, and I mean, obviously, I picked that one up from Lights Out Ace. He's a big advocate for all versions of Scrappy Hour, and this is a very solid one. It's not a particularly flashy one. It's just good in this particular meta. Like, I don't think that there are any. The only set 5 card, the only Defiance card is Dizo's Office. And I mean, it's a really good card in the deck to the point that I was actually like spending some time thinking about what I would do to make an extra room for it as a 1-of in the main deck. I'm not quite at that point yet, but it's really close. Other than that, I think the only other point is that it's playing a total of 3 Madnesses, which I don't know how I feel about, but I mean, it's a good deck. The Praktalakan, though, interesting construction. It's definitely, I like his take on the deck a lot more than a lot of the other ones that I've seen. A lot more than a lot of other ones that I've seen. Because this is very clearly a Praxis deck that is splashing Primal for removal and a couple of top-end threats. To me, that is a much more realistic approach to deck building than where just full-on, balls deep 3-faction bullshit. And so I really prefer this approach to the deck building, at least. Still, there are a few things about it that I am weirded out by. I don't know how I feel about the Amber Acolytes, for instance. Responsible, yeah. This is more responsible than a lot of the other ones. So, like Amber Acolyte is not a card that I'm crazy about. In some respects, this has actually inspired me to say, like, okay, well, this is Praxis deck splashing Primal for removal and top end threats. What if we build the deck where it is Skycrag, where it's just splashing something like, I guess you can't really splash Heart of the Vault. That's just this big one to say. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the card. I don't like the card. I mean, definitely that was partly a response to Rhino just drilling it into my skull like every time it showed up in a deck. And he's like, this card is bad. People shouldn't be playing it. And I would watch it and be like, wow, it's certainly not doing a whole lot here. You like it? I do. Oh, God. Okay, we'll fight about this over the course of this. Yeah, this is definitely practice splashing Primal, which I think makes sense. That's a good approach to the deck, I feel, relative to other ones, which is the full 3-faction thing. So there were a couple other things. So Mola and Nikova and Howling Peak in the market. One critical thing about the Amber Acolyte you don't get from is Yeah, that's true as well. Um, I don't know. I think I'm gonna play. Like, I've been thinking about playing this deck on. I'll probably do it on the stream for a little bit because I think that this take on it is the best that I've seen. That it just makes the most sense to me. And I'll just run it with this exact build later on. The one of the particular things I'm just going to note quickly is one Moa Nikova and a Howling Peak in the market. It seems like a lot of top end for the market. I just don't feel like you need to have both of these. I would rather have some other tool in the market that is useful and interesting than just this. But I know that's kind of a minor point. So let's get into the games for it. Like, also 3 Zalchi and none in the market. I like that for a show. Once again, is responsible. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I like. There's just part of me that maybe like even something like Temple Scribe. I don't know. I have a weird relationship with this card. This is why I'm going to run this exact version of the deck. I like it. There are a couple of, like, pet peeves that it triggers. Like, maybe they're just right, and I want to test it. Okay, so let's go. Scribe is a great card. I mean, I'm worried about double T on turn 2. You wouldn't be playing it on turn 2 very often. It's much more of a turn 3. Oh, so game 1, Prakalakin. I was just going off about your deck. I don't know if you were listening to all of that. I have weird feelings about Amber Akla. It's just not a card that I like. But I was like specifically saying that I think that this is. I never had any decisions in the other games. Yeah, you got fucked up pretty badly in some of the other games. If I remember, I watched through it for sure. And this is something that can happen, especially with this deck. But yeah, the Grounded Fatties versus Grounded, yeah. And, like, not to mention the fact that, like, if they have, like, good Madness Combust kind of hands, they just, like, just ranch you, just destroy you. So, but yeah, I definitely think that your version of this deck is the best that I've seen so far. My ATS was super gas until it was the worst. Yeah, it's the way things work. So let's jump right in. Porcelain Mask. Daria? What is Daria? Daria? I can't even remember what that card does. Okay. So this is also, by the way, just a little subtle power move that we get actually out of Prakalakin here. Exchanges a Fire Sigil for the banner. I really... oh, right. Yes. Yeah, so Prakalakin here just kind of slowly plodding along. I mean, I think that in this case, like, just... like, A, Prakalakin was down a card in this, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I remember it now. Permafrost. I think that it's definitely right to Permafrost him there as a card, because I think that the equivocating something like a Scrapper is more important. Zalji making his presence felt. Yeah, mold to 6. That's pretty easy decision right there. Good. This is a really good attack, by the way, of just being like, okay, I think that they have Madness Combust or something like that, so maybe they want to keep this around in order to Madness Combust it. So just kind of like dare them to do it so that you can set up the display of Instinct. That's actually really sick. I hadn't thought through of, like, that's what was happening there. But this is a really good power play. Not combusting there seems... Interesting decisions there by Boxer. I think that that's like was honestly an interesting turn there in terms of like how you decide to check something. I can't think through exactly like what I feel about it all. Boxer played this one super conservatively in some respects, and I don't think that that's correct. Oh, Jesus. Oh, the humanity. There's part of me that always... Okay, yeah, the display was clutch. I was praying for it, yeah. But yeah, they do eventually find the witching hour, which does help to slow down the game a good deal. But there's still a lot going on here, though, obviously, so it's not like we're down and out yet from Brackalacken's side. Permafrost, their question of whether or not to attack here. So that is just chub block. I mean, yeah, this does stop you from getting hit by something like the Equivocate, which is quite the blowout. I think, yeah, you Equivocate him. That's right. This is a pretty obvious play. Actually, I think that you... There's part of me that's tempted to hit the... actually, I think that it would have been right for the Timekeeper to hit the 5 cost one, because I think the difference between 10 and 14 is probably irrelevant in this game. I don't think that either one of them is being played, or if they're being played, you're probably losing. If they're both being played, they're probably losing. So in that case, it's a question of asking your opponent to discard 1 card. It's 4. I checked. What do you mean? Next week. No, 10. 10. Like, I mean, 10 was reachable, like, in the course of this game, but I don't think that you... Like, I don't think that he wins that game if he was able to deploy a 10 cost card. But yeah, if they have the answer for the first one in Combust, but then it's something that you like. If Boxer has an answer to that first one and things like still slow down that much, like I think that he still wins that game. Is what I'm saying. Like I think that it's basically just functionally a discard spell. In which case, I would rather have not allow my opponents to cast a 7 cost card versus a 5 cost card. Maybe that's too fancy play syndrome, but like you at least see what I'm saying, right? Anyway, we'll continue. He's correct to go for the 5. I mean, it's just like even if he does like I think that it's really, really close, because I think that if he gets up to that amount of power and able to deploy both of them, it's just a lot. I'm trying to think through here. Okay, so it means that next turn he would be able to play it. Okay, I mean, it's really close. This is good, though. I like this setup. I guess that I take back what I was saying about Howling Peak in the market, just because they always having the equity of the mirror image on the merchant is just so high value. Of just like kind of going up the chain that way with discarding all of these useless cards. So right. Yeah, this is a bit of a blowout because I think that we just get the Torch plus Molat and Nikova next turn and just clears out basically everything. Sets up a very good lethal. This is a weird attack. Oh, right. And then play that down. Put that down. When it's great, it's great. So Torch, Molat Nikova. She's the scrap tank is ginormous. 21-21. Still can't quite kill your opponent. That's a problem. That makes sense. I guess, yeah, he had that read. That makes actually a lot of sense. Diesel's Office, man. Jesus Christ, this card has impressed me. And just like that. Especially since your units can get so large, you have that scrap tank that just gets absolutely fucking massive. It's so great in these particular situations. I mean, it's a really tight deck, so fitting in a second copy doesn't seem easy to do. But the one is so good. Yeah, I think that you're right, that he had the read and that was a good call for it. So yeah, I take it back. I think it's just correct. This equivocate is going to be... I kind of like equivocating there, right? Because having your opponent gain whatever it was, 20, that's a lot. Now your opponent's at 73, which is just, unkillable. I mean, I guess this is a kind of deck that can do that amount of damage, but... I don't know what's in the market at this point, because you could display back a merchant and then play it again. Oh, there's a Howling Peak. That's sexy. So, yeah, Mirror Image. Yeah, I suppose you're right. I don't know. I think it's going to be happening eventually, though, right? Guardian coming down. Yeah, I mean, it depends on they're probably going to play it. I don't know. I think that the life matters. I think that the life does matter in certain ways the game plays out. I'm not sure. I understand your point though. Definitely the difference between 5 and 25 is huge. The difference between 50 and 70 is not. It's either you're playing a deck that can do that or you're playing a deck that can't. So, I don't know. It was a good game, though. I think that you're right that one was very interesting. From here on out, though, I think that we get into the parts that are a little bit more traumatic for our friend Prakalakin. Because these ones are much less close. But we're going to watch through it anyway. just to assess everything that's going on here for the sake of, completion. Send something back. Play something down. God, I want to have an effect that does AoE damage other than Mullet and Kova in this market. Like, clearly, I think that there are ways to build this deck that would be better if you knew that you were going to be facing against Grenadins. Grenadins is one that I don't blame anybody for not knowing that you're supposed to be playing against Grenadins. Novaquake, yeah, it's a pretty easy, one to play around. Hair's resolving. If you still start games, please relog. Oh, very nice to see that. Very nice to see that. Uh-huh. I'm sure there's some game going on down there somewhere. I worry that this is just going to be there for, like, the entire fucking game. Oh, God. Okay. I mean, it was, like, bloody impossible before. I've tried, man. I've tried. I put the effort in. I just love when people, like, understand. Yeah, the go wise stuff is, like, your particular build of the deck doesn't have a cheap sweeper. Like, it doesn't have anything other than a Mullet and Kova. And so things like no Downpour, no Hailstorm, no, like, even Lightning Storm. I mean, I think that it's defensible to say that you're not supposed to play that in this particular deck, but it's still, like, that's the cost of playing this build of the deck in the game. Is that you can get blown out by deck compositions like this. Yeah, just going to start going off with all of them hours. When they play 2 witching hours, the game is just so close to done already. It's really hard to win. This is correct, by the way. That makes sense. Ray. I can buy that. God, this is filthy. Oh, Lord. And I just don't even think that they did the math exactly, because it's just like, well, we have to survive, like, maximum block. I don't even know if they had a line to survive there, which is fine, but... Okay, anyway, keep on going. I mean, I didn't check the math. I mean, we're going to do this 2 times speed. We don't need to check the math. Who was losing that game anyway? We all knew it. I mean, Show is just such a good card. Doesn't require any energy. Doesn't require... Like, just it's just amazing. Wow, that's a terrible opening hand. I mean, that fixes a lot of it. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, even he threw away a witching hour. I'm so mad. After he threw away, see that he threw away a witching hour. How did he do that? Or is it this game? Okay, so it's this game. Just plays it onto like a full board or something like this. I mean, I've made that mistake myself. Yeah, I think that if you want to do Novaquake, usually you have to be going Moment. Moment is one of the best ways to do it. Praxis Displacer is a really good one. Oh, sure, sure. So it's not this game then. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was game two. Great game three, rather. And then game two. So, yeah, spoilers. I told people at the beginning, you weren't here for it. I told people at the beginning that this is spoilered. That this is not a spoiler free version of it. So, sorry there, friend. But if you wanted to get the spoiler free version, you're a great streamer. I am an adequate one, at the very least. I am definitely doing it competently enough that there is a stream that is currently running. We watched it all roll already. Hey, I'm just it's hard to sense the exact level of sarcasm. That's what they have the Kappa button for, right? You put that in there, and then I know that you're being sarcastic. So just want to point that out there. Like, let's get some Kappas in the chat to show Ray how it's done. Yeah, Creeping Death. He's a man who understands a good Kappa. I don't Kappa. You're missing out. It's an experience. It's a cultural moment. Can you truly say that you're alive in the year 2019 if you haven't Kappa? Is that game easy to stream? If it's this one, I mean, it's as easy to stream as anything, I think. I started streaming, like, last week, basically. So that hasn't been too hard for me. I guess I've done a lot of casting and stuff, though, so it's, like, basically the same. Or at least very similar. Okay, Display of Instinct. I don't like that blog was one that I kind of was watching earlier. Yeah, card games are easy to stream relative to a lot of other things. Like, definitely, I imagine that streaming something like a MOBA is incredibly difficult, at least in a way that's actually like interactive. Because you can the thing with card games is you get some chance to like think through your plays and talk through your thinking of your plays. Yeah, by the way, this choppiness is not on my end. It's just, like, on the stream's end. So, I'm sorry about it, but I couldn't do anything. Really? Why do you find it hard? Like, I don't know if you stream very much other stuff, so... I mean, streaming and gaming at the same time is definitely not easy. Don't get me wrong. It's always, difficult to process a lot. Okay, so I mean, I haven't done it with anything else. I guess that there's probably a lot of games that's kind of mindless for it, so you don't have to think like too hard. Like I wouldn't know. I haven't tried. I just play card games. This is all I have. Stream a lot. I mean, I started I'm working on building my stream. Make friends is another big one too. That I have learned. I mean, I've been doing content for a while though. So while I've been streaming for like 2 weeks, I have been making content of various types for 2.5 years now, between like writing and casting and all of that. So yeah, come to other streams, announce that you stream. Say I generally play worse from a focus on production chat. Yeah. You definitely. I always love these plays of doing the devour or whatever it is in response to the gun down. Yeah, you always are going to play worse when you stream, kind of generally, because it's definitely a distraction. I mean, like, occasionally your stream will help you out to learn a little bit, or like they'll point out some of your mistakes or whatever. But in general, the actual in-game experience of streaming is going to be harder. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though with Prakalakin in this situation. That if they play this out here, it's kind of a punt. So yeah, you block this, you get that attack in. Now do you have the... Yeah, you have the Caleb's Favor primed up. Show boobs. Never, like... I mean, showing boobs, does it ever hurt anything in the world? What mic am I using? Yeah, me having only one monitor helps contribute. I actually have a second computer set up because I don't have a second monitor. I'm using a Yeti mic, which is a pretty standard one for this kind of streaming stuff. I really like the... I've been using it for podcasting for a while too. I don't know about playing that Titan there. Like, it feels like your path to victory is through the air, most likely. I mean, you're still in a fuck ton of trouble, don't get me wrong. This sequencing was also wrong, too, because you technically could... Oh, I guess it wouldn't be... No, it would be enough, because he had 8 health, because the Gear Cruncher gets the lifesteal so that the activation would have gained a bunch of health as well. What is my streaming schedule? I don't have one yet. I usually stream in the evenings, basically, though. For right now, this week I was going to be streaming a lot less. I have to do some traveling. But Titan is in the deck in general. I think the Titan is fine in the deck because, I mean, you're definitely very weak to a flyer-heavy aggro deck. Like, if you're playing against something like Huru. Some jet setting. Not quite that exotic. I'm driving down south. No jets are involved, technically. Yeah, no, I have to do some things down south. Yeah, I think that, like, especially given the, like, if you happen to run against the guy who's playing Unseen Commandos, and my Genève cards need to have a way to beach. Yeah, that's another good point, is that the Haunted Highway matchup, like, having a Titan that sticks, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time. Like, you're gonna have a hard time sticking them sometimes, but if you do get to stick them, the matchup gets much easier. By the way, hello, Magnarot. Lovely to see you there. Yeah. No, I think that the yeah, ultimately this particular I like a earn and equivocate. There was no earn. I don't know what you're talking about with earn. Yeah, I think, I mean, there are a bunch of different ways in which, I mean, like, there's Levitate aggro decks, so, like, Alessi decks of that sort. I think I got a follow right there, which is very nice, of whoever it was. We'll catch up with it when I see it on the screen. Magnarot for the follow. Thank you very much. Let's skip ahead. Yeah. Oh, versus HA. I don't like Earn that much. Earn, I don't know. It's like, sometimes it just does nothing. I have not seen it in a game yet, like, really take over. Maybe, I just... Definitely relics like that. I know that I have a bias against it, but I personally just haven't seen it do very much. And it's just so narrow, too. Like, there's just so much going on right now in the metagame. There's a wide open meta. Like, yes, Haunted Highway is one of the more popular decks, but there's like 10 perfectly playable decks. So I just don't feel like, I don't know why it doesn't draw the urn, just steals the game on turn 4. Sauce Bros, thank you very much for the follow. Greatly appreciated. Also, Sauce Bros, if you want to know when I stream, you can also follow me on Twitter. You can join the Discord. There's a Discord link below for anybody else who can do that as well. I try to post in there when I'm going live. And it's a great way to discuss any of the stuff that's going on in the stream as well. I'm always interested in feedback, once again. Just taking this moment as we find the next Smash. Okay, so this is Haunted Highway versus the Boxer, who is on, of course, our Scrappy Hour deck. We saw the Moosh's deck already, though, so we saw both of these relatively recently. Don't think I have very much to say about this. This is definitely the strongest trend. All these ETS is that HH, even with a lower player count, is having a very high impact on top 8. Yeah, I mean, like, HH is a very, very good deck, like, and also, like, it almost has the strength that it didn't get very much in the way of new cards from set 5, so there's just, like, no need to remake the deck. The Secret Passage as a one-of in the market makes reasonable sense to me. So, compared to stuff like the Genève decks or the FJS decks, is that it, like, you can get away with, so what was I trying to say? Yeah, so the Genève decks, like, you're really rebuilding them right now. There's lots of changes that you still need to do. Yeah, the Defiance has definitely picked up a lot, especially since the Winchest nerfs. Defiance is great right now, I would say, comparatively, because it was after that change that a lot of these more aggressive decks were able to come into play. I just felt that the card was a little bit too low impact in the mono Winchest metagame. So it's very good against the Scream deck, though. It'd be terrible against Scrappy Hour, though. So if Scrappy Hour does actually a stream deck or a gaming share is not necessary. You'll see that I don't have a particularly fancy gaming share. I just am not the best one to give advice on this. I just started with it. I guess I'm doing okay enough that I have viewers for it, but I'm just not enough of an expert. You can get in contact with some people, though, who have more experience with it than I do. I'm sure they'll have you some advice. There are many of them who are nice people and good at sharing. But this particular matchup, I think, ultimately, like, there's a lot going on here, and the particulars of the draw make I think a really big difference. Because, for instance, having things like a bunch of start streaming, see how you like it. Yeah, just start streaming it and figure it out from there. I think it's the best way to do it. Yeah. Start podcasting. Continue for as much as at least 2 years. Then you start streaming. Got a podcast first for 2 years first. That's how it works. But this particular matchup, though, I think that the have attack into it. There's a lot of minor downside. They do have to attack into it, though. Okay, Defiance is amazing times. It's just something that with the particulars of, like, against this matchup, like this particular matchup against Haunted Highway, I think the Defiance is so good as a way to just alleviate so much burn damage. It really protects you a lot. So it's specifically if you're having troubles with the Haunted Highway matchup, it's just a lot better than a lot of other options. So, for instance, I would rather have 2 Defiance in my main deck rather than an Urn in my market if I was playing something like Winchest. But yeah, with this particular matchup, I think there's a lot that matters in terms of the specific compositions of the draws. Haunted Highway really needs to find some way to punch through damage, because obviously the majority of the ground force is just, like, fucked up with all of these Grenadines and the Merchants and the Scrappy tanks and all of that. So you need to have, like, these Overwhelm units, or you need to go to the skies for it. So specifically build a deck they're not playing very much in the way of Dark Returns. I think that you really hurt of not having access to that, because it actually lets you keep this, like, your flying unit if you've Haunted and Screamed them. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Yakitor, Zako Yaki, yeah. Like, it does things in other matchups too. It's good in Rakano. It's very good in Rakano. Oh, also, but the obviously, Vicious Highwayman is a all-star in this matchup as well, especially in the early game. I mean, if your opponent does get a giant scrap tank, it can be a pain in the ass. Giant scrap tank though is like a problem in this matchup for the scrap tank side, or because it can be stolen, obviously. So there's just a lot going on here, and I think that so much of it does depend on the specifics of the draw composition. Here, obviously, the Boxer's draw just is not lining up at all with what Moosh is up to. Yeah, hey, sorry. Hey, man, I'm just a little bit hungry. Yakitori's great. Zako Yaki? Yeah. And that's game. But like, I think that that's kind of like the close to the top end of what you would expect to see in this matchup, assuming that both players like actually play the game. So that's what you see as the upside of what Moosh is able to do. Yeah, takoyaki. So yeah, so yakitori is barbecue chicken, and yakitori and takoyaki is octopus. Correct? I'm just like remembering my Japanese, or trying to remember my Japanese. So cultured. Yeah, they're octopus balls. I'm all about those octopus balls. They're delicious. I don't know how I feel about that block there. I guess you have all of these gear crunchers are coming down. You just want to save your damage. So I don't mind that. This game was amazing to watch. I mean, it's dramatic. I like that the Boxer has identified what he sees as his role in this particular game. Sako. Oh, I didn't know that. But I think that the Boxer like understood is like, I have gear crunchers. Gear crunchers will save me, assuming that I have a bunch of like I can just play at a bunch of idiots. So if I just take as little damage as possible, then play them one after the other. It'll just fill my board every turn, and it'll be insane. So you got the three here. So a man with a plan. Yeah, he's just maximum damage soak, which is the correct way to play. Oftentimes when you have a like when you're in this particular matchup, because especially when you can chain the gear crunchers together, because any granite that you lose in the early game comes back every time that you play the backup gear cruncher. Yeah, I think that I was interested in double locking the clearing off the Champion of Fury. How is it fair? I mean, you have to get to that point where you can do it, and you also have to have access to multiple copies. There's like lots of ways to punish this. It's just that this particular draw of Moosh just has no tools. He is just fucking out of luck. So, it's yeah, like you're seeing here that like he just put all of his effort into it, and specifically too because the Scrapper has been hanging out there under a permafrost. It's already gained him something like 5 life. Yeah. No, like it wasn't that slow. The main thing is I just didn't have very much in the way of evasive stuff. uh, like if it was a little bit faster, I think that he could have won the game. But definitely like any amount of evasion that he could actually, like for instance, if he got a haunting scream, and that would be amazing because you could haunting scream, then play out your Dusk Raider, dark return it, and get a charge, berserk flying unit, and then the Boxer is just fucking out of luck. But since it still has it doesn't have flying, it's just going to be really, really hard to punch through all this damage. This, by the way, this turn right here, I think it was very, very ballsy of the Boxer, in some ways, because he either was some potential of getting punished pretty badly here. So, for instance, if there was a torch in addition to the permafrost, then there's a good elf scream beatdown deck out there. I don't know, man. It seems like a long shot, but then we could get doubled it like a 7 times 2. Yeah, you'd have lethal here if you had another removal spell. Other than the permafrost, but it had to be permafrost. I guess also a madness would have been lethal there as well. I kind of just would have preferred to go for the Gear Cruncher and kind of like played it safe. But I mean, I understand this line too. I mean, I think that you have to hold out for the Haunting Scream, because I think that you have to get a really dank flyer going in order for this game to like actually win, because you just like you can't attack through the ground any longer. So Dark Returning, even like a Merchant, which you've played them already this game, they've been around. So maybe that's what you need to be doing instead. I just don't think that, like the Dark Return on the Champion of Fury is very. I mean, especially given the fact that you didn't have to do it on that turn. Like you can, I guess you are worried that your Dusk Raider dies, but yeah, I don't know. Interesting game though. It's definitely a really interesting matchup. It's a very challenging matchup. Basically anything that involves Scream is very challenging, though. Like, the Haunted Highway is a very, very difficult deck to pilot. I like this position. I'm going to tilt that down a little bit. Watch the rest of the game from this angle. Yeah, that looks decent on the screen. It doesn't look too crazy. Not like super up in your face. This particular game, though, I don't think is particularly like compelling. If memory serves, this really just involves Moosh passing a lot and contemplating the meaning of life, putting power on the bottom. That's what it involves. Grendon Merchant, Scrapper. Scrapper's very good here. Yeah, it's about the deck name game. Like it doesn't really break into the deck name meta. That's the important part. That's such a desperation play. Is like trade with 2 Grenadins for the purposes of screaming back the queen, I guess. It's just so desperate. Like it's right. It's just kind of sad. Bunch of assembly lines and Grenadins. The Boxer is like firmly in control of this game. He's at 21 health. Sure, Devour. Like, I mean, just nothing matters anymore. WBBs sometimes too. What's a WBB? Trying to figure this one out. Oh, I don't get it. I will concede. What is a WBB? World Bear Behemoth. Well, I will I encourage anybody who wants to go there to go there. I'm not here to step on your parade or get stop your dreams. This apparently the boxer here is to stop Muja's dreams. Man, The Witching Hour, I'm so happy. Like, every time I see it played now, it just brings me back. It's like, oh man. Reminds me of the summer of 2016. Back when that card was, like, the best thing going on. Yep. I mean, I've tried some crazy stuff with Screams. Stone Scar control combo. Something like that. Is he actually what wrote that? I didn't even see that. That's funny. Just call it what it is. It is Scrappy Hour. Everybody knows what Scrappy Hour is. I mean, anybody who matters, at least. Torch is such a good card. I don't know if you guys knew this. Torch is very good. Easy. Super easy. Easiest game of my life. The boxer's being surprisingly aggressive. I don't know if it's the best card in the game, but I know that it's really fucking good. Like, already things, though, are looking just absolutely terrible information. Like it all comes down to, like, does he have a haunting... Like, does he have some, like, way of getting a consistent flyer into play? He just doesn't. Like, if he has a Dark Return, then this hand turns around a lot. But he just can't win on the floor. He can't win on the ground. That's got to just read like... This is just the most desperation play I think I've ever seen. I don't know whether it was... I think that that's just kind of like reading the room of just realizing that you're fucking dead and just saying, okay, I think this is the best way to make something happen, I guess. But, you know, like Madness to deal 2 damage and then torch it is like, oh god. Yeah. I mean, maybe I should have just built something with it that's flyer heavy aggro. Or like mid range. But yeah, like this game. You guys are watching this game, right? Like this game has not looked remotely competitive. Like, we can play Vicious Highwayman, we can kill that, we can Permafrost the Scrap Tank, we can chump block the... Yeah, we block there, we can chump block the Highwayman if we wanted to, and then this happens. And the game is... Yeah, this game was a stomp. No question. I mean, this is what happens, though, when Scrappy Hour is functioning on, like, full... Yeah, no, I got the reference. I just kind of skipped over it, because I don't know enough Flight of the Conchords to, like, riff on that subject. So, I got it, though. I am aware that Flight of the Conchords is a thing that exists, and that they have a song about dicks in dance floors. And about the relative densities. Moosh contemplating his life decisions. That you feel like they'd be my jam? I don't know. 2 damage. Changed it, motherfucker. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, this game was just a stomp. Okay, that's it for that.